The first thing I noticed was how cold the conference room felt. Not the AC, just the way the whole place looked like it had never hosted a real conversation. Chrome chairs, untouched bottled waters, and a 10-foot glass window with a perfect view of downtown Atlanta. And me, I was the only one standing. Dana Whitmore, vice president of Highland Realty Group and wife of the founder, sat at the end of the glossy black table like a damn judge. Her blonde bob didn't move an inch when she looked up. Next to her was her assistant, Renee, tapping at a tablet like she was swiping my future away. Dana slid a single sheet of paper across the table. Her voice was smooth, flat. "You're being terminated effective immediately." I didn't sit. "For what exactly?" "Trespassing, data theft." Renee chimed in, not even looking up. "There's surveillance footage." I forced my hands to stay loose at my sides. "Surveillance of what?" "You were caught accessing restricted files on the Tuxedo Lakeside project," Dana said. "Land development blueprints, owner records, none of which fall under your department." I stared at the form. Termination, no severance, immediate dismissal. I couldn't risk signing or denying yet. I needed time. "Mind if I get some water?" I asked, already walking to the sideboard. I didn't wait for permission. Quick note: before listening, share which city or country you're watching from. I grabbed a bottle, twisted the cap, and turned. "Is this about the announcement tomorrow? The Lakeside displacement hearing?" That stopped them. Dana's posture changed, slight, but her lips tightened. Renee paused the screen mid-swipe. That was the crack I needed. "You shouldn't know about that," Renee said. "But I do," I said, "and I know it's not public yet." Dana recovered quick. "You broke into internal servers." I took a long sip. "Or maybe someone leaked it because they think what you're doing is criminal." The door burst open. Jasmine stormed in like she owned the floor. She had the badge, the suit, the attitude, and most important, she had authority. "We're done here. My client is leaving." Dana stood. "Client?" She's not who you think she is," Jasmine said, cutting her off. "And unless you want to explain to the state board how you've been surveilling employees without legal basis, I suggest you back off." I didn't wait for the rest. I walked out with Jasmine, heart pounding like a jackhammer. Outside in the elevator, she turned to me. "They just filed an injunction. Hartley's blocking the land transfer." I didn't even get to breathe before everything we'd worked for got thrown off a cliff. Jasmine and I didn't talk until we were clear of the building. She was walking fast, weaving through pedestrians like she had something to prove, and honestly, she did. "They filed it 30 minutes ago," she said. "Greg Hartley signed it himself. Claimed there's ownership fraud tied to the lot titles." I kept pace beside her. "That's insane. We triple-checked every document." "Doesn't matter," she snapped. "The injunction halts everything until it's reviewed in court." I didn't respond. Couldn't. I was too busy trying to keep my heart from punching through my ribs. We were 2 blocks away before she finally stopped and flagged a cab. Inside, I caught my breath. This was the part nobody saw. The part where your brain splits in half trying to play every side without getting caught. A year ago, I was Luz Rosas, just another woman with student debt and a ghosted job app. But 2 years before that, I had a master's degree in urban planning and a dead grandfather whose farmland got buried under tennis courts and rooftop bars. Manuel Rosas. Vietnam vet. Grew crops till his hands cracked open. Highland Realty called it underutilized land. They called it progress. My family called it the worst day of our lives. After the lawsuit failed, I didn't grieve. I got focused. I found the housing coalition 6 months later. A bunch of pissed-off, displaced families, ready to burn the whole machine down. Jasmine ran strategy. Ray handled field ops. Olivia was the tech. I told them I'd go under, so I built a new backstory. Community college, quiet work history, nothing special. They hired me fast. Highland liked people they could overlook. Jasmine tapped my arm. "We're getting out here." The cab dropped us in front of an old diner off Peachtree. Cheap letters peeled off the glass. Inside, the AC rattled and the coffee smelled burnt. Ray was already in a booth by the window, hunched over his phone. He looked up. "We good?" "No," I said. They pulled the trigger. Hartley moved first. A door creaked. Olivia walked in with her tablet already open. She slid in next to Ray and nodded at me. "You burned?" "Not yet," I said, "but close." I pulled my phone out and opened the drive I'd hidden under layers of boring financial reports. "I found a pattern," I said. Offshore transfers routed through two shell corporations, Petrol Holdings and Larkview Finance. Guess whose name pops up on the authorization logs? Ray leaned in. Dana. Every time, I said, the money trail leads back to public housing funds, zoned for community enhancement. They drained it. Jasmine looked stunned for half a second, then recovered. That's real jail time. Only if we can tie it directly to Highland, Olivia said. Shell companies protect her unless we can prove their fronts. They are, I said. The LLC registration addresses match two Highland-owned office spaces. I pulled lease files. Ray cracked his knuckles. So what's the play? We leak this now? No, I said. We don't threaten them. Jasmine raised a brow. Then what? We show them we're ready, I said. That we're already standing in the fire. Make them sweat. She glanced at Olivia, then back at me. Then we'd better move fast. Because if Hartley was already throwing around injunctions, it meant he was scared. And scared men don't wait. They hit first and clean up later. Olivia started typing like her hands were possessed. Petrol Holdings was registered last spring under an anonymous Delaware trust, she said. But the IP used to submit the docs traces back to Dana's corporate tablet. Jasmine let out a low whistle. That's confirmation. Device logs don't lie, Olivia added. We've got location stamps from inside Highland's main server room. She was logged in during every key transfer. Ray leaned back in the booth, arms crossed. So we leak this to the press, tie Dana to the money, and Hartley caves. I shook my head. No leaks. Not yet. He looked at me like I'd lost it. You're saying we don't use the nuclear option? We hold it, I said. If we drop this too soon, they'll bury it in court drama and claim slander. I want Hartley to see it, feel it, know it's coming. And if he doesn't flinch? Ray asked. You realize the second this hits his desk, he'll start digging. You're the only one he doesn't know by name. That won't last. Then we do it clean, I said. We send a message he can't ignore and wait for him to move. If he doesn't, we go public. Jasmine nodded slowly. I'll prep the press drop. Anonymous sources, timed embargo, full data packet ready to go. We pull the trigger only if Los gives the signal. Olivia turned her screen toward me. Here, this is Dana's signature log on the devices. Each match corresponds with a known transfer. It's airtight. I scanned it, jaw tight. Dana Whitmore had signed off on every move like she was untouchable. Jasmine scribbled something in her notebook. Zoning hearings at 9 a.m. tomorrow. Hartley will be there. That's your window. He's not going to give you a private audience, Ray said. Not after what happened this morning. He will, I said. He'll want to control the narrative. I'll catch him before the meeting starts. Olivia clicked through another set of tabs. We should prep both scenarios. Plan A, injunction gets pulled. Plan B, we go scorched earth. I nodded. We print physical copies of every document, load backups on 3 separate drives, and split them between us. Ray let out a breath. You're really ready to blow your cover? I looked at him dead on. I didn't spend 2 years living in a lie to play it safe now. He didn't argue. Jasmine stood. All right. Then we go tonight? I'll queue up the press leak. Ray, get burner phones. Olivia, copy the signatures and trace every shell account tied to the master fund. What are you doing? Olivia asked me. Writing the note I'm handing Hartley. She blinked. You're giving him a physical note? Yeah, I said. I want him to hold it in his hand and feel how calm we are. Outside that diner, the street felt heavier, like the storm wasn't coming. It was already here. We split up fast. Everyone had their job. What none of us knew was that Dana had already pulled the footage. I'd walked past the wrong camera at the wrong time, and she was staring at it right now, comparing it to the boring new hire HR filed 6 months ago. Something wasn't adding up, and she never liked loose ends. The injunction held. No response from Hartley, no phone call, no deal. Jasmine texted me just before sunrise. He didn't budge, so we went with Plan B. I stepped off the MARTA platform in a full disguise. Dark brown wig, clear frame glasses, blazer sharp enough to slice glass. The kind of clean corporate look Highland trusted. The forged ID badge clipped to my jacket said I worked for Hartley's financial oversight team. The name wasn't mine, but the magnetic strip worked. I walked into the lobby like I belonged, past 2 security guards, too distracted by the protest gathering outside. The zoning hearing was already underway in the lower-level chamber. Crowds packed the front doors, some holding signs I helped design a month ago. I didn't stop. Instead, I slipped left, past the espresso stand and down the corridor leading to the stairwell. Nobody watches the stairs. I climbed 16 flights without slowing, even though my thighs were screaming by floor 10. The plan was simple. Get to Hartley's office, download the hidden compliance records from his private server, and get out before anyone realized what I was doing. The stolen keycard, Renee's, was still in my back pocket. At the 20th floor, I cracked the door open just enough to peek. Quiet. Office hallway, polished floors, framed aerial shots of their development projects. No sign of movement. I stepped out and moved fast. Hartley's office was tucked behind a frosted glass divider. I swiped the keycard once. Light turned green, door unlocked. I slipped in and shut it behind me. The place was what you'd expect. Sleek, cold, oversized. One wall was all glass, the other all ego. Photos with politicians, magazine covers, a model of the Lakeside project front and center. I didn't waste time. Jasmine had shown me the hidden server access. Under the desk behind a fake drawer. I pried it open, plugged in the drive, and logged in with credentials lifted off an internal doc Olivia cracked last night. File path, /internal/reports, /private/land acquisitions /locked/. I found exactly what I came for. Land swaps, falsified bids, pre-approved zoning permits dated before public hearings. Clearproof Highland fixed the game before the public ever knew they were playing. I dragged the entire folder to the flash drive and hit Encrypt plus Copy. Progress bar, 22%, then the screen flickered. A security alert window popped up. Unscheduled system access detected. Red border, internal breach protocol. Someone knew. I cursed under my breath and checked the hallway camera feed. It was live. I saw movement. 2 guards heading up the back stairwell. Shit. I yanked the drive mid-transfer. The copied files were enough to ruin careers, but I needed a way out. Fast. I reached for the elevator. The panel lit up in red. Security lockdown engaged. Every floor button disabled. I punched the stairwell door. It was sealed too. That keycard wasn't getting me out now. I was stuck 20 floors up with stolen files in my hand and security on the way. I ran straight for the private bathroom. It was tucked behind Hartley's bookshelf. Rich marble tile, glass shower, neatly folded towels, no windows, no exits. Just me, cornered with a flash drive and maybe 30 seconds before they kicked the damn door in. So I made a decision. I ripped off the blazer, threw my wig in the sink, and turned on the shower full blast. The mirror fogged instantly. I splashed water on my face, ran it down my neck, then wrapped myself in one of his towels and cracked the bathroom door open just enough to leave it, accidentally, ajar. Then I waited. 5 seconds. 10. The office door slammed open. Boots hit the floor. Radios crackled. I heard one of them grunt. Check the perimeter. Office access shows entry 5 minutes ago. Then the bathroom door creaked open. I stepped out, dripping wet, towel clutched to my chest like I didn't expect company. What the hell is going on? I snapped, voice high, annoyed. Greg said I'd be alone for 15 minutes. The younger guard froze. The older one blinked, eyes flicking to the towel, the steam, my face. Sorry, ma'am. We got a lockdown alert. Did Hartley send you? I asked. No. We were just... Then you're interrupting, I said, stepping closer just enough to throw him off. Unless you want to explain to Mr. Hartley why his personal guest is being interrogated half naked, he backed off. And then, like clockwork, Dana stormed in. Her heels clicked across the floor like gunshots. She took one look at me, hair wet, towel tight, eyes locked on hers, and you could see the gears grinding in her skull. You're not supposed to be in here, she said. I smirked. That's not what Greg said. The security guards glanced at each other. Neither moved. Dana's voice dropped an octave. Who are you? I think you know. Her eye twitched. What department do you work in? I don't, I said, but I'm not exactly new to the company. Her mouth opened, but no words came out. And that's when Hartley himself walked in. He didn't say a word, just raised one hand, palm open. Everyone froze. Out, he said. No one argued. Even Dana hesitated, but one look from him and she was gone. She gave me one last glare before slamming the door behind her. Now it was just us. Hartley shut the door and leaned against it, arms crossed. You've got 1 minute. I didn't blink. You're being fed false numbers, I said. The reports you've signed off on, they're doctored. Development bids, zoning clearances, even parcel records. Someone's building a trail under your name. He raised an eyebrow. And you know this how? Because I've seen the unedited versions. I worked inside. Doing what? Watching, I said. Listening. Tracking the changes made to the acquisition logs. The ownership trails don't match up. A handful of properties that should have transferred to Highland did, he cut in. No, I said, stepping forward. They didn't. Not legally. You're sitting on land that was never fully processed through the board. If you don't pull that injunction, you're going to get dragged into a legal war you didn't even start. He didn't answer, but his jaw tightened, and I knew I'd hit something real. Hartley didn't say a word for 5 long seconds. Then he stood up straight, walked to his desk, picked up the phone, and pressed a single button. Security to my office. Escort her out. I didn't flinch. I wrapped the towel tighter, walked past him, and paused at the door. Check who owns the lots now, I said without turning around. He didn't respond, but I caught the way his fingers hesitated on the receiver. 2 guards were already waiting when I stepped out. One handed me my blazer and grabbed my arm. I slipped it on, badge still clipped, trying to stay calm even though my heart was in my throat. My earpiece buzzed once, then cut. Dead. No signal, no team. We took the elevator, back online now, probably unlocked by Hartley himself. My mind was racing, counting files, names, everything I'd managed to grab before the download cut off. The copies were secure, but I wasn't. The doors opened into the lobby, and I barely took a step before I heard it. Hey! Renee, Dana's assistant. Her heels clicked hard against the tile as she came charging across the floor. Her eyes locked on mine. That's her! That's not a contractor. She's been accessing private files. She's not supposed to be here. People turned. Phones came out. The guards hesitated. Ma'am, we were already instructed. She's an infiltrator. I've seen her face on camera. And that was my opening. I pulled my arm free and turned to the crowd. Loud, clear, no hesitation. Does anyone here know the penalty for obstructing a federal investigation? The room went quiet. Dead quiet. I'm with an oversight task force, I said. You really want to be on record stopping someone looking into Highland's illegal land transfers, public zoning fraud, abuse of municipal funds? A woman near the front started recording. People whispered. I saw 2 junior staffers exchange a panicked glance before one slipped behind a column, already dialing his phone. I'd think very carefully before laying a hand on me again, I said. The guard stiffened, not backing off but not grabbing me either. Renee was shaking now, trying to regain control. She's lying. She's trying to... Ma'am, one of the guards cut in. We might want to call legal before... No, said a voice behind me. Male. Firm. Another suit. Security director, maybe. Back room. Now. The guards moved again, harder this time. I was grabbed by both arms and dragged through the lobby toward a restricted hallway near the freight elevator. Phones kept filming until the doors shut behind us. They shoved me into a beige holding room. Bare walls, 1 chair, no cameras I could see. The moment they stepped out and locked the door, I exhaled. My hands were shaking. My shirt was soaked. My pulse still hadn't dropped. I scanned the room. No communications. No way to signal Jasmine. I didn't even know if she was still outside or if Ray had eyes on me. Olivia might have seen the footage, but without the earpiece, we were dark. I had to stay loud. Keep the pressure up. Make enough noise that someone in power got nervous. Problem was, they'd just silenced me. And for the first time in this whole damn mission, I didn't have a backup plan. The door clicked open. 2 guards came in, no words, just tight jaws and clipboards. One sat across from me, the other stood in the corner, arms folded like he was dying to play bad cop. The seated one started in. Name. I didn't answer. He tried again. Why were you in Mr. Hartley's office? Still nothing. The standing one stepped forward. You accessed private files and triggered a breach alert. That gives us the right to detain and question you. I need the restroom, I said, cutting him off. The one with the clipboard scoffed. That's not how this works. I leaned forward, calm as hell. Then I'll just piss on your chair. That got their attention. 3 minutes later, I was in the staff restroom. No mirror, no window. 1 toilet, 1 drain, 1 busted soap dispenser. But it was private. I locked the door, pulled the flash drive from my pocket, peeled off my blazer, and used the tiny blade in the hem to cut open the inner lining. The drive went in, stitched it up with the emergency thread I'd sewn into the cuff last week. Tight, flat, invisible. I flushed the toilet for effect, washed my hands, and looked myself in the streaked metal panel that passed as a mirror. You're not done yet. Back in the holding room, I'd barely sat down when the door opened again. And this time, a guy in a gray suit with wireframe glasses walked in holding a briefcase. "Ms. Castillo?" he said, voice smooth, polite. "I'm your attorney." The guards didn't even blink. The papers he carried were thick, official-looking, stapled with an embossed county seal on top. "Per these," he said, waving them in front of the clipboard guy, "you've exceeded the legal holding time without charges or arrest. You'll release her immediately or risk federal scrutiny." They looked at each other. 10 minutes later, I was in the back of a black Civic, blazer damp with sweat, and Bernard, my actual contact, was pulling off his glasses and tie as we drove. "Nice timing," I muttered. "You're lucky Jasmine had me on standby," he said. "They weren't going to hold you much longer without crossing a legal line." I looked over. "Where's Ray?" "Outside, circling in the van. Olivia's watching Hartley's network. Jasmine stayed behind to push the press kit, just in case." "And the land titles?" He glanced at me like I'd just missed the punchline. "That's the thing. They went through." I sat up. "What?" "The transfer was accepted at 10:41 a.m. this morning. No delays, no red tape. Hartley didn't block it." My mouth went dry. "He pulled the injunction?" "Number. He just didn't renew it." "So he let it happen." Bernard nodded. "Didn't even contest." We both stared straight ahead as the downtown skyline slid by. The Civic felt too quiet. "Why the hell would he do that?" I asked. "Jasmine thinks he's playing a longer game," Bernard said. "Like he gave us the win because he's already moved the goalposts." I leaned my head back. "Then we're not done." "Not yet," he said. "But we've got the microphone now. Jasmine wants you to speak at the board meeting this afternoon. Full attendance. Executives, city reps, media. It's our best shot to force the issue." I didn't hesitate. "I'll do it." Bernard nodded once, eyes on the road. This wasn't just damage control anymore. It was time to put everything on the record. The boardroom was colder than I expected. 20 chairs, long polished table, cameras set up along the back wall. City officials lined up in rows, some checking phones, others just staring forward like this was another box to tick before lunch. I spotted Hartley first, 3 chairs from center, calm, suit perfect, legs crossed, the picture of power. Dana sat to his right, lips pressed into a polite smile, not a single wrinkle on her blazer. No nervous tapping, no whispering. That alone told me something was off. Bernard leaned toward me as we sat down. "They're too relaxed," I nodded. "They've got something." The moderator tapped the mic. "Next on the agenda, property title disputes in Sector 9. Representative Luz Castillo will speak on behalf of the Housing Coalition." I stood, kept my voice even. "We now own controlling interest in 52 acres of land surrounding the Tuxedo Lakeside District. Our group, comprised of residents displaced by Highland Realty's developments, legally acquired these parcels after years of obstruction." A few murmurs. Dana sat back, arms crossed like she was waiting for the punchline. Hartley raised his hand slightly. "If I may, Ms. Castillo's statement is technically accurate. The coalition owns those parcels. However, they now fall under non-voting protected mixed-use classifications as of last week." My blood froze. He turned to the moderator. "Revised zoning codes were filed and approved by the Board of Assessors. Owners may hold titles but have no developmental control under public use provisions." Olivia was already typing beside me. Her face went pale. "He's not lying," she muttered. "Filed last Thursday. It's legal. Buried under historical preservation addendums." I looked at Bernard. He gave me the tiniest shake of his head. It was done. We owned paper. That's all. 52 acres of frozen dirt. No power, no vote, no say. Dana leaned forward now, voice smooth. "We're willing to offer a buyout. Generous terms considering market value. $200 per acre, immediate wire." The room was silent. 200 per acre. Olivia whispered, "That's pennies." Bernard sat still. Ray stared at the table. Jasmine's face tightened, jaw clenched. This was what defeat looked like. No yelling. Just pressure sinking into your chest. But I didn't move. I stayed seated, stared right at Hartley, then Dana, and said, "Actually, I have one more thing to share." Hartley blinked. Dana turned her head slowly. I saw it, that flicker of something she didn't expect. She thought the trap was sprung, and I'd fall quiet. I didn't, because what they didn't know, what none of them had seen yet, was that I came with the second knife already sharpened. I pulled Olivia's tablet from the case and stood up again. One button press, and the city board's main screen lit up behind me. The Highland Realty logo disappeared, replaced by black and white spreadsheets, account ledgers, and foreign bank routing numbers. "This," I said, voice steady, "is where the public funds went." Dana sat up straighter. Olivia's file tree expanded, revealing the full paper trail: Petrol Holdings, Larkview Finance, Shell Corporation's routing payments to an offshore trust in Nassau, dates, amounts, IP logs, all tied to one name, Dana's. She shot up from her chair. "This is a violation. These are fabricated." "They're not," I said, talking over her. "Each transfer was approved using your corporate device, tied to your email credentials, and authenticated with your passcode. We have the metadata." The room buzzed, papers rustled, phones lifted. Someone near the board reps started recording video from their seat. I stepped forward. "These weren't just transfers. This was theft. You rerouted public zoning and redevelopment funds into private accounts under the guise of preservation spending. You abused city loopholes, rigged public auctions, falsified development bids." "Stop this," Dana barked. "No," I said, "not this time." Behind me, Olivia flipped to the digital signature logs, side-by-side comparisons of Dana's device use, linked directly to the fund withdrawals. "And this wasn't just Dana," I added. "Hartley signed off on at least 3 of these parcels, after they were stolen from displaced families." Hartley hadn't moved, but his face had gone pale. The room had shifted now. Nobody looked relaxed anymore. He finally spoke, voice low and controlled. "What do you want?" I held up a folder. Simple, no theatrics. "Restitution for every displaced owner, full payout based on today's value, not the price you bullied them into. A permanent citizen oversight board for future land deals. And your resignations." Dana's jaw dropped. "You're bluffing," she whispered. "No," Bernard said from behind me. "She's not." Hartley stared at the screen, then at me, then at the press in the back, already filming. It was over and he knew it. He nodded once. "I want the documents," he said. I walked them to him myself, set the folder right in front of him. Then I looked him in the eye. "My name is Luz Rosas." Dana flinched. I turned toward her. "My grandfather was Manuel Rosas. He grew crops on the land your bulldozers leveled in 2008. You called it redevelopment. We called it erasure." I stepped back as Bernard and Jasmine moved forward to begin the process. Dana didn't say another word. By the end of the hour, their lawyers had confirmed it. Both of them resigned. I stood at the edge of the gravel path, final documents in hand. The little memorial sat at the corner of the old property line. Nothing fancy, just a wooden bench and a bronze plaque where his workshop used to be, in memory of Manuel Rosas, husband, farmer, fighter. The fields behind it were overgrown now, but the land was ours again. Bernard stepped up beside me, hands in his coat pockets. "They never thought we'd get this far." "They didn't even bother hiding it well," I said. "They thought no one would look." He nodded, quiet. Then he handed me a folded map, marked in red ink. "That's the restitution breakdown," he said. 73 families, every name accounted for, every payout cleared. I tucked it in my bag and let out a breath I'd been holding for a year. Later that afternoon, I stood in front of the coalition. The small church rec hall buzzed with energy. People packed shoulder to shoulder, some still in work clothes, others holding folders with their name on it. Jasmine stood beside me, Ray by the door, Olivia streaming it live from her phone. I raised the mic. "It's done. The land is secured. The titles are real. And the restitution checks are approved by the board." Cheers broke out. Some people cried. Some just stood there like it hadn't sunk in yet. Afterward, as the room emptied, a woman in her 70s walked up to me slowly, wore a faded green shawl, and held her purse like it weighed 50 pounds. She looked at me hard. "You said Manuel Rosas?" "Yes, ma'am," I said. "He was my grandfather." Her eyes filled with tears. "I remember him. He gave my son work that summer, when we didn't have anything." She reached out, took my hand in both of hers. Thank you. That night, I packed clothes, notes, the burner phone. Everything from that undercover life got tossed in boxes. I peeled the fake job ID off the back of my bathroom mirror, the name I'd used for 12 months, gone with a single pull. I sat on the floor with the last thing left, my grandfather's photo. He was standing next to his old truck, arms crossed, dirt on his jeans, proud of land nobody else thought mattered. They took it from him, called it worthless. But we brought it back. Some people said this was revenge. It wasn't. It was restoration.